Makes it more, gives it that more savoriness. Man, these recipes look so good, but we can't eat most of them. I mean, I'm a vegetarian, so I can't eat all the ones with meat, which is like half the book. And then the other ones have things dogs can't eat, like onions and chocolate and alcohol. But you know, we do know some fantasy food experts and some really great and creative bakers. So what do you say we make our own real-life fantasy foods that we can eat? Yeah? Okay, let's go. Let's go get some treats. Come on, buddy.
My name is Jennifer Garrettson. I have a background in biology and life sciences, and I've also read like a lot of books of science fiction, fantasy, and more recently I have been playing a lot of Dungeons and Dragons, some especially like a dungeon master, a game master.
So when you think of fantasy foods, what first comes to mind?
One of the best world-building examples of food was Anne McCaffrey's Dragon Riders of Pern. I don't know, everybody's drinking this coffee substitute called Claw, and it sounded much better than ours. It had like cinnamon and things in it, and bubbly pies. This woman clearly loved to cook or eat or something, like because it's just, the food was on point in Dragon Riders, and it also was the first fantasy cookbook I ever bought. was the Dragon Riders Guide to Pern cookbook, and I actually now have like a collection of fantasy and some historical cookbooks. So yeah, so Pern started it all.
I think I would be more into the fantasy cookbooks if I ate meat. As a vegetarian, you're like, oh, there's a big section here that I can't use.
Right? Yeah, and I think that just kind of speaks maybe to contemporary fantasy lack of imagination in some ways, at least with traditional fantasy, where we just are just picturing British food, and it should be a much wider. Yes, it should be.
He might be arguing that it should be only meat.
What?
As a meat-focused creature?
Yes.
Are you a meat-focused creature? When you think of fantasy foods, what first comes to mind?
My name is Jillian Colton. I am an artist and educator. The first thing that comes to mind for me is actually like a health potion. I play a lot of Dungeons and Dragons and stuff, and I feel like the health potion is like the quintessential like fantasy food thing, because it's like something that could never exist in our world, but something that we would so desperately love. Just like something, you drink it, you're better. Yeah. And that would be excellent, I think.
I wish I talked to you before the health potion episode, because we tried to make one.
Oh no.
Yep. Live and learn.
Well, yeah, I mean, if it didn't make you feel better immediately, did it make you feel better?
Moving on, what fantasy food would you most like to try?
Probably something like ambrosia, just like the food of the gods. It would be pretty dangerous, but it's supposed to be amazing. No, they're not supposed to eat that, but I just want to see what it tastes like, because that's one thing where I'm like, I don't even have any idea what it would begin to taste like, so I'm very curious.
Which fantasy food would you most like to try? Or which one have you made that you like the best?
Bubbly pies are really good. It's just...
Arbor, come here, lie down. Come here. I'm just going to kick him out for this one. Sorry.
Yeah,
You're mentioning bubbly pies? What are those?
Yeah, so bubbly pies are from Pern. They're basically just like hand pies, and you just need to like make pastry, and you just flat and put some very the Dragon Riders of Pern tend to have like rather spice-heavy foods, which is nice. So you put a lot of cinnamon and nutmeg and like a little bit more than you normally would, and a lot of butter, and then you just sort of seal the pastry around it, and then put some like holes in the top because you don't want to heat a closed system, and then you just bake them, and they're really delicious.
So did you ever want to try a Scooby snack? And if so, what do you think they would taste like?
Yeah, I did always want to try a Scooby snack, and I always think that they would just taste like the cookie part of the Dunkaroo.
Ah.
Yeah, that's how I imagine them.
I love Scooby-Doo. I really loved it. I had no interest. No, none. That was
You didn't want to eat the dog
that
treat?
was clearly a dog treat. And I have, as a child, been curious about these. They don't taste good. No. So, no, I knew what that was up.
That's a fair point, but never fear. We've got an expert baker with us to help us make some human-friendly Scooby snack appetizers.
My name is Calvin De Silva. I've recently graduated from a baking and pastry arts program. And yeah, I have a bunch of hours of experience professionally and at home in baking.
And you love fantasy stuff.
And I do love fantasy stuff, that is for sure.
Haha. A single Rice Krispie. Well, thanks for meeting us today, Calvin, and bringing Rice Krispies for
Yes,
Arbor.
yeah.
And we're actually going to be making something very delicious for us too, but also for Arbor. We're going to make some Scooby Snacks.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. I've actually never baked for dogs before, so this will be the first time.
This is going to be my first time baking for dogs, not at dog height.
Okay,
So
excellent.
it's,
Lovely.
yeah, this is already a lot easier.
But yeah, Scooby Snacks are kind of I feel like the quintessential dog treat as far as pop culture goes. But they are also, I guess, like really tasty to humans. We have ingredients that I think dogs and humans will enjoy. Yeah, let's get into it. So we're gonna mix our butter, our peanut butter.
Arbor. Yeah, what's going on? Arbor likes peanut butter.
Oh, lovely.
Calvin?
I don't know, why do dogs love peanut butter?
My guess is maybe it's sweet and fatty. Mm-hmm. So it kind of hits those markers that dogs like.
Our sugar and our honey.
Arbor's taking his break right in the middle of shooting, as normal.
And to speed up our emulsification, we're going to use the delicious. All right, and then we're going to go.
Does that smell good, Arbor? It's got that peanut butter in there. Oh, and egg. He also likes egg, so
Oh,
good luck.
lovely. Good.
Just gonna keep your nose just a little further.
Ooh, that's a good egg. Okay, so we got egg, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract.
Does that smell good, Arbor? I think it's a good sign that he's very interested so far in this dough.
And then I did choose oat flour. I can't remember why. I think it's healthier for dogs.
The research I've seen is kind of split between if it's healthier or less healthy. But
okay.
the rule with treats and dog treats in general is that treats should not make up more than 10% of your dog's daily food intake.
Okay.
So either one that you're using, Arbor's not going to get to eat all these cookies at once. He'll just get little treats.
So yeah, it definitely is starting to look like a cookie dough, which is what you want it to look like. And then the last thing that we're going to add to it is Rice Krispies. It creates like a crispy but also chewy texture to it.
And for flavor, what flavors are Scooby Snacks supposed to be?
The creator of Scooby-Doo at some point did mention that Scooby Snacks are supposed to have like a caramel flavor to them.
Very strange for dog treats.
I know, yeah. The way that I went about it is I did brown the butter. Gives like a nuttier, earthier kind of flavor that I think will be similar to caramel. Yeah, perfect. It looks like a pretty great cookie dough. Yeah, we're gonna portion these out. Scooby Snacks look pretty small, so I didn't want to make like big cookies. So something that like looks like it could fit in a cereal box and like be dumped onto your face.
Yeah.
How they eat them in the show. So.
Did you ever want to try a Scooby Snack?
I mean, I think so. I think everyone kind of went through that. But the show kind of made it look like Scooby Snacks were not dog treats. Like, that was my understanding, is that they were just cookies. Like, they were just like a snack that you could buy at the grocery store that Scooby also tended to love. But they were somehow named after him. I didn't understand that.
It's a bit of a internal logic
Yeah.
issue. Let's see how our cookies are doing.
Oh, yeah. I think they were actually pretty done.
Yeah, they're starting to brown.
Yeah, we went 12 minutes, and I think they're pretty well baked. I would maybe even go. Thank you. Depending on how you like your cookies, you could probably go 2 minutes shorter, actually.
They smell
look
so
great.
good.
Yeah.
Arbor, come here. No, well, we have to let them cool.
Yeah,
before we try them.
It'll be bad to try it now.
Pause up. Come on, pause up. Come on, buddy. Okay, what'd you do for a Scooby Snack? It's a good sit, but pause up. There you go.
Oh.
Good boy. Try one. Okay, you gotta try here. There you go. I think that's approval. Hey, Arbor. Here, buddy. Break, get it. I think he's enjoying it.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
This is the most nervous I've ever been watching someone eat something I baked.
Yeah, if a dog rejects it, it's
Yeah, I'm like,
a little extra upsetting.
A failure.
Yeah. You ate a leaf yesterday. Okay, one more?
You want this?
Oh, come on, buddy. You're tall. All right. There you go. Good job.
Good job, buddy.
Well, we should try one.
Yeah, sure.
Cheers.
Cheers.
That's really good.
Yeah.
That peanut butter's really coming through, and the Rice Krispies are adding that like a nice like surprise.
Yeah. I think the texture is really great.
Fantasy recipe 1, success.
Wow, these cookies are seriously delicious. They make me think about all the mouth-watering baked goods in high fantasy. And there's one series with some stout humanoids that really takes the cake.
So we can't talk about food and not talk about Lord of the Rings and the Hobbits and their love of food. And the Hobbits have 7 meals, right?
Yeah.
So do you think you could keep up with a Hobbit meal plan?
Absolutely not. I think I would have to like fast for a full day just to have like their supper. Like they have so much stuff and it's all so like dense too, you know, like so many breads and cheeses and meats. I don't think I could do it.
It's a tall order
Yeah, it really
for
is.
short people.
Yeah, I think so.
Definitely for a couple of days. My name is Davis Leong. I'm a chemist and teacher, and I'm here to talk about some cool science fiction stuff.
Yeah. Can
Or
we get you-
fantasy stuff, sorry. We were talking about science fiction earlier. But I think it would be kind of like, going to like an all-you-can-eat resort, like an all-inclusive or something. And I think after a while, I'd probably be like, all right, it's enough food. But then again, right, like they eat so well, right? They're mostly eating whole foods. It's all things they've grown themselves. So, it's not like bulking and eating 7 meals of chicken and rice every day. So I think I could probably get through it, but it's a lot of eating. And from guys that I've known that have done stuff like that, where they've, tried to bulk up and they're eating 25,000 calories a day and ridiculous amounts of food. They talk about how annoying it gets to eat that frequently. So, I mean, I don't have the constitution of a hobbit, so I don't know that I could, I don't know that I'd make it that far.
What food would you most want to try from Lord of the Rings?
My name is O'Darren Tobin.
I am a big sci-fi and fantasy geek, and have been for pretty much my whole life. I've been into Dungeons and Dragons for many years now, as well as playing some other tabletop games, in which I've played and been the game master for. And I'm also writing my own sci-fi narrative podcast with some friends.
I would love to be there for the meal that Bilbo feeds the dwarves in The Hobbit. They basically clean out his larder.
Yeah, they take everything.
And my understanding from the writing, and then also just from Hobbit culture in general, is that larder was full of good stuff. Like cakes, cheeses, meats. That would be a wonderful meal to have. Not to mention they sing a lot during that meal, which dwarven singing, top tier.
From Lord of the Rings, I think the thing I would most like to try is probably Lembas Bread.
Oh, well, what
Yeah.
is Lembas Bread?
Well, Lembas Bread, thank you for asking. It's also known as Elvish Way bread, and it's a special type of food. Some would say that it's magical, and it's made by the elves, and it can sustain a person, like one wafer can sustain a person for a full day. So it's made of like a wheat or a grain like wheat, and it's like spread very thin and baked crisp. Biscuit like survival food almost. I imagine it almost like a protein bar or like hardtack. Actually, I imagine it, if hardtack tasted good, it would be Elvish Way bread is my guess. Yeah.
It is delicious. It is very creamy. Not like cream, like buttery, but it is like the most delicate sponge bread, like sponge cake inside of a slightly crispy layer. When Tolkien described that in the book, I'm like, yes, that sounds delicious. It is a little bit like a crumpet, but crispier. Oh my God, I live for the day that we're gonna really have it. And what they had in the movie was just too crumbly, and I mean, maybe I could buy it being crumbly by the time you get to Mordor. But yeah, when it's just coming out of the Malorn leaf.
Nice and fresh.
Yeah.
What do you think is in Lembas bread that can keep you full all day?
I think it would be very dense, like both energy dense and probably from a constitution standpoint as well. I think you'd have very, very high sugar content, right? A lot of carbohydrates likely, probably high protein. If you think about making it, I think the dough would be very thick, and it would be you'd probably be pressing it, not kneading it as much, and you'd press it into those nice little cakes and then bake it. Yeah. But I think it'd be like a super, super dense cracker. Like if you took a whole sleeve of saltines and compressed them into a single saltine.
I don't want to eat that.
Yeah, I don't know that.
Sounds
and I mean,
so bad.
when you read the accounts of the hobbits eating the Lembas bread, especially towards the end of the Lord of the Rings, like they're not too keen on it either at that point, right? And they talk about how it fills your body and it nourishes your body, but there's kind of, and especially for the hobbits, as you said, right? They're eating their 7 meals a day. They love their food. It's not like feeding their souls, right? So I think that would be the real drawback of a high density fantasy food like that.
Let's see if Calvin can find a balance between accuracy and deliciousness as we make our main course of Lembas bread.
I'm pretty excited about this. I have made Lembas bread before, but this is a slightly different recipe. I tried to be a little bit more book accurate in how I developed the recipe, so
Okay.
hopefully it tastes just like the elves used to make.
So where do we start?
So we're going to we're gonna sift all of our flours.
Why are we using so many different types of flours?
It's a good question. I honestly think all-purpose flour just has a very bland taste, kind of. I think it's supposed to be like corn flour would probably be the closest, but corn flour doesn't have the best texture. But I did want like more of like, I don't know, some kind of like signifier of the harvest for the elves and like the different grains that they would have created. So we do have all-purpose wheat flour, we have oat flour, and we have almond flour. I feel like I read this somewhere. Someone said that Lembas was made from
Nope.
the nut of the Malorn tree. So I figured some kind of nut would probably serve it well.
Okay.
That's the almond flour.
I appreciate your accuracy to the book.
Yep,
Trying to make it as accurate as possible.
Yep, as always, I'm dedicated to Professor Tolkien. So this is basically like a pie dough recipe. So you start with your dry ingredients, and then you kind of you beat the butter into it to create like a crumbly texture. And then you use the liquids to bind everything together into a dough.
Okay. Which one of these would you like?
The beater. What is this called? Paddle attachment. There we go.
You are the expert here.
Yep.
And you're chopping up the butter because then we have more surface area and it will mix better, right?
Yep. We'll say that. So we're adding the sugar now.
Right.
It's never clear as to whether Lembas is really sweet or savory. I kind of wanted it to be like somewhere in between, so we do have the rosemary and the cardamom to kind of give it a more of a earthy, herby texture, taste.
Lembas bread is supposed to be super filling.
Yes, that's right. One small bite is supposed to fill a man for a whole day.
Yes. So do you think that will work with our Lembas cookies?
Definitely not.
No.
But I did try. Honestly, there were some recipes that really tried to stick to that, but they honestly sounded pretty gross. They used protein powder instead of flour, and I'm like, that would taste terrible. But I think like certain things like the oat flour and the almond flour, I think will also help that. Like they're a little bit more nutritious than all-purpose flour. a larger fat content in the almond flour also makes it more shelf stable. It stays moister for longer, which I assume is also a part of Lembas bread.
Yes, it's got to travel.
We've pretty much got all of our dry ingredients as well as our butter and our sugar in here. And yeah, if you take a look, it's like pretty crumbly, just like you would see with pie dough. It's a little bit finer, like we probably went past pebble-like texture. And then, yeah, like I said, we have these spices, rosemary and cardamom. Rosemary was kind of a common one. Most people added it to recipes. I just think it gives like a really nice herbal taste to it. And yeah, when I think of elves, I think like they definitely used herbs a lot in everything that they did. And then, yeah, half a teaspoon of salt. It's always important to add salt to your baked goods. I feel like most people kind of neglect it. Neglect adding salt to sweet things, but salt is a flavor enhancer, so whether you're making something sweet or savory, it's kind of important to add it because it brings out all of the other flavors in the recipe.
Does the butter smell good?
Oh, yes. Okay, and then, yeah, I think it's just honey,
Our extracts.
and whipping cream.
And now he's getting curious in everything you're doing.
He's like, wait a minute, you guys are making food. If we get some plastic wrap out, we can wrap it up just like you would pie crust.
All wrapped up and ready for a nap. Or cold nap.
Beauty. Okay.
Like a Scandinavian baby.
Yeah, definitely firmer.
It's very firm.
That's pretty good. You always want to start with less than you need. Flour will definitely change the texture of it. We're trying to get it to about half an inch thick. Anyone who's like seen the Lord of the Rings movies probably has an idea of what they look like, and that's kind of what I was going for. In the movie, they have these little indents, like X's, and I think that's just for like portioning. So again, about like 2 to 3 inches between them to let them spread. Into the oven they go.
Now
Beauty.
we wait.
Now we wait. Clock wipe.
What other fantasy foods would you eat? Would you eat any of these foods? Any of these wonderful mimic monsters on my awesome Geek Tropical shirt? Also, it's so soft. Feel this.
Oh yeah, it's like a jersey.
Yeah, it's like
It's wild.
super lightweight. It's moisture wicking.
Nice.
It's Ooh. Lembas bread. Let's take a look.
Okay, yeah, I think we're pretty good to go here.
Okay.
Whoa.
Oh, they do look really good.
Yeah, they smell great.
So good.
Definitely have like that, like you really smell the rosemary, I think, which is great. They're nice and golden brown on the edges. You can tell that everything's set. Nothing feels too liquidy.
And now we wait again.
Yep.
Before we can start. All right.
All right, yeah, I'm excited to try these. Split one. Oh.
That worked pretty well. Oh, they're nice and soft. Oh, do you want some?
Right.
Cheers. Okay. Here, Arbor. Here. He's like, give me a bigger piece.
Yeah, they're pretty good. They're definitely not super sweet. Do you want some?
And I think we've got dog approval as well.
Delicious. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're like so light and spongy. Well, thanks, Calvin, for coming and making us some Scooby Snacks and some Lembas bread. I think.
Yeah, happy to do it. Always happy to spend a day baking.
Okay.
And I got to hang out with Arbor. It was great.
Always a good day.
That genuinely is one of the most delicious things I've ever eaten. And now, as we prep to make our fantasy dessert creature, it's time to ask our fantasy experts a pair of very important questions.
If you could eat any fantasy creature, what would you eat and why?
I would probably go for a griffin or any sort of creature that has wings, because then you could barbecue those wings and that would be delicious.
In Delicious in Dungeon, there's an episode where they make, spoilers, it's like sorbet, like ice cream, out of spirits.
Okay.
And it looked really good. And I think they also use like gems from like fake creatures, basically. Anyway, it looked amazing, and I was like, I want that. And it's stuck in my head. It looks so good. So that one, yeah.
This question is very difficult to me because I cannot imagine wanting to eat a single fantasy creature. It seems so dangerous just because like most of them are poisonous, a lot of them want to kill you, so it's like And a lot of them are like human hybrids with things, so that's a little shifty. Yeah, so I honestly can't think of a single fantasy creature I want to eat.
Some sort of gelatinous cube, right? I'm a big fan of anything kind of like, gelatinous gummy bears, those sorts of things. So I feel like a gelatinous cube would be up there, and I feel like you could, gelatinous cubes, they dissolve everything that they like come into contact with. So I feel like you could feed a gelatinous cube certain foods, and kind of like a 1950s cookbook. You could have your savory gelatinous cube, and you could have your dessert gelatinous cube. The possibilities are endless.
Truly.
Okay, so I have a very strong feeling about not eating sentience. So that rules out so many fantasy creatures. You add a little bit of magic to some fantasy creature, and there's often the gift of speech and things that goes along with it, which then is there. They are right out. And so a jackalope?
Okay.
Like, those are both okay food creatures. So long as this isn't some sort of, endangered spirit of the desert or something, maybe. But I don't know. I feel once we've got some magic in there, there's so little in the world, we need to preserve it, and I probably would decline.
That's fair. Yeah. And are there any magical creatures that you would absolutely not eat?
There's a lot.
Yeah, most of them. Yeah,
Most of them, in fact. Yeah.
I'm not super excited about the thought of eating a bug. So an arachnid like Shilo would be not very appetizing to me.
Human ones, the ones that are part human, for sure.
Right.
I don't want any accidental cannibalism. If I was starving, I might eat the not human half and just tell myself it's okay.
Okay.
But yeah, I would do my absolute best not to. Yeah.
I would definitely not eat a chocobo from the Final Fantasy series. It's come up in some of the games where you can like eat a chocobo, and it just feels a little odd to me. Like they're
what is a chocobo?
A chocobo is like a giant bird. It's like the size of a horse. They're very cute. They're kind of semi-flightless. Usually yellow, and they're often like an animal that you can ride. Usually some of the games have like a chocobo race mini game or something in them. And while I think it would probably be a delicious bird, I don't know that I would want to eat them. They're usually like, they have a lot of personality usually in the games. They're very friendly. So that would definitely be up there for sure. I would not eat a chocobo.
Maybe this is a moot to ask you if you don't want to eat the fantasy creatures, but is there like a hierarchy to the fantasy creatures you wouldn't eat?
Yes, absolutely. I think it's like poisonous and toxic, any human hybrid things, and then after that it's like anything that's not like cow or pig based, and yeah, then from there the things that are like cow or pig sort of hybrid things might be the closest.
What about like giant creatures, like people in real life eat frogs? Would you eat like a giant frog?
I might eat like a giant frog steak, like part of a giant frog. I wouldn't commit to a very big portion. It would have to be like a little...
Just like a taster.
Yeah, just
like
a taster
menu of giant creatures.
Absolutely. I would try a taster of giant creatures, I think, yeah.
I'm glad we've sorted that out, yeah. Just in case.
Just in case, if the need arises.
Yeah.
I wonder if Jillian would let Davis and I add oozes to her giant taster menu. They can get pretty big. Time to see if we can make a mouth-watering cube with an expert undoubtedly excited to try more weird food with me. Welcome back.
Scout Hog. I have a bachelor's degree in health sciences, and I enjoy the creative aspect of science and combining it into STEAM education.
So we are here with Scout to finish up our fantasy meal. We started our day with some Scooby Snacks, and then we moved on to a main course of Lembas Bread.
Nice.
And now we're here to finish it off with a beautiful Gelatinous Cube Jello dessert.
Sweet.
So, we have here some vegetarian Jello.
Okay.
Because I'm a vegetarian. And what this means is that it doesn't have gelatin in it. It has something called carrageenan instead, or carrageenan. One of those.
Yeah.
So, as we start making this,
okay,
what is the difference between gelatin and carrageenan and pectin? Arbor, come here.
Well, they're basically all used in cooking in order to stabilize and make things jelly-like. So the difference is pectin is something that is naturally occurring in fruits and vegetables, and basically when it combines with warm water and sugar, it turns thick. It is more common in higher levels in some fruits like apples and cranberries versus something like peaches, which is when you warm it up, it gets really mushy. That's because there's less amount of pectin inside it. Whereas gelatin is something that is made from an animal byproduct. It's made from collagen and it's made from connective tissues, and it is basically boiled until it can help make things jelly-like. Vegetarians obviously can't have that in their baking and their cooking, so they use agar-agar, or the one that is in this one, which is basically just a branch of a seaweed. Type of seaweed that has two molecules in it that when heated acts exactly the same way as gelatin.
And then once that's nice and mixed, we'll just pour it into our lovely cube mold.
If anything, it's going to look cubey.
Yes.
That's the important part. Okay.
That's good. That's step one.
First round. Don't splash, don't splash.
Great. Okay, and now we're gonna let it set just a little before we start adding our little inclusions.
Amazing.
Because gelatinous cubes tend to be big monsters, and they're oozes, and so they just kind of grow and they start filling up whatever space they're in. You know, like a liquid, right? Like it fills up the space, and then adventurers will walk in, being like, "Oh, hey, look, there's like some floating treasure," and they go, and then they get stuck in the cube.
Right. So never touch floating gold coins.
Yeah, if you see floating gold coins in a room, it's probably a big ooze.
Or make someone else go get them.
Make someone else go get them.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah, I've worked with this product once before.
Okay.
And I waited too long, and I couldn't get the inclusions in it.
Okay.
So this is a fun adventure for us.
Perfect.
Yeah.
It's starting to get a little bit set.
Should we try?
Yeah, let's give it a go.
All right, so he's starting to set in there.
Yeah, we got our adventure all set. Throw a
Putting
frog. Perfect.
Okay, the frog sunk. So
Okay.
we know we can't put anything in yet to sit on top.
Right, it's got to just stand up.
Yeah.
Perfect. What else should we put in there?
I think we can put in, do you want to put in a couple crowns?
Yeah, why not?
Sprinkle some.
They're pretty light. Hopefully float a little bit. Here we go. Oh yeah, that
Oh,
one stays.
okay.
Perfect. Nice.
All right, so we've got some, oh, well, that's fine. We got some stuff floating in there.
Okay.
It's a little darker than I was aiming for, but that was just one drop of this.
Okay.
So I don't know if we just don't.
We could just do a
the
clear
next
one for the
one?
next batch. Layer it up a little bit.
Yeah, gelatinous cubes are classically a complex layered creature.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This one's special. This one's created by us.
Right.
It's a fantasy world. It can be whatever it wants to be.
That's very true. It's a fantasy world, and our gelatinous cube has layers.
All right, shall we pour it in?
I think we pour it in. We'll see what
All right.
happens. I'm a little curious to see if it starts to dissolve. Oh. We'll see. Let's try.
Our adventurer might get taken out.
Oh no. Okay, so we should let it set a little more. We've learned.
Poor guy. Sorry, his face first. We'll stand him up. Here we go.
Okay.
Give me a bud.
It's fine if everything else is at the bottom.
We'll just hold him for a bit.
I mean, it made the whole thing lighter.
It's true. It did.
And start. How's it taste?
Kind of like nothing.
Good. These are unflavored, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, then it's good. It's perfect.
I like the idea of like the time lapse of this. I'm a little concerned with our graham cracker human.
Yeah.
That they're going to dissolve
Okay.
a little bit, which is actually really aligned with what would happen in a gelatinous cube.
Yeah.
Because when something gets stuck inside it, the gelatinous cube is acidic. It does acid damage. What can you tell us about acids?
So in our world, we kind of have three different compounds.
Okay.
There's acids, there's neutrals, and there's bases.
Okay.
So we have something called a pH scale, which goes from 0 to 14. If something is acidic, it has a ranking of 0 being like the strongest acid,
Okay.
and then 6 being the weakest acid.
Okay.
Then 7 is things that are neutral, so really pure water is a 7. Also, really pure blood is a 7. Anything after that, 8 to 14, is a base. Things that are acids are things that are usually corrosive, things that usually taste sour. So battery acid is the strongest acid, it's a 0.
Okay.
We also have stomach acid, which digests everything, all of our food inside of us.
Like a cube.
Like a cube.
Right.
And that one, depending on the person, and also depending on things you've eaten, and if you're in the process of digesting, can go from a 1.5 to a 3.5 on this pH scale.
Okay, so pretty acidic.
Pretty
in
acidic.
our stomachs.
For comparison, things like vinegar, like if you use to like clean out your kettle and things like that, that's a 2. Coca-Cola is a 3.
Oh.
And urine is a 6. Bases are things that tend to taste a bit more bitter,
Okay.
and they have like a soapy kind of a texture to it. Usually we don't eat a lot of bases. Those are things like cleaning products. A milk of magnesia is something that's used for digestive stuff.
Like settling your stomach,
Settling
right?
your stomach, because when our stomach gets too acidic and it starts to give us sort of that acid reflex, you can take some of that and like kind of calm things down a little bit.
That's so liquidy.
Yeah.
I feel like we need to just pop it in the fridge. Otherwise, we're going to be here for a long time. Okay, so our experiment is not setting
quite as well as we had hoped.
Yeah, it's still pretty jiggly.
Yeah, and it was in the freezer.
Yep.
So we are just going to continue with the experiment
Okay.
and see what happens if we make 3 packs at once.
Just load it up.
And then pour it in, and we're gonna do a pour over a thing so it can't like get underneath.
Okay.
And splash everything out. And yeah, we'll see how this cube goes.
All right, let's give it a go.
Okay. Okay, our man is lifting, so I don't think it's working. We've lifted the firm layer.
It's still kind of floating though.
There's stuff floating in there.
There is still some floating.
Okay. Which ring pop?
Let's do this one.
Okay.
Let's just
Oh.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
it's
right,
not
so-
going over the bottom, so that's good.
Yeah, so there's a gelatinous like
Element.
texture to this. Oh, that's fine.
I'm gonna submerge this guy upside down.
Okay. Oh, it's coming back up. It's escaping.
Gonna stay. He's gonna say no. Well, stay there, bud. You can see the trails of the crown
Yeah.
leaking through.
Making a weird floating diorama. Oh, the frog went belly up. Just keep putting stuff in. Whoop. Oh wow, that stayed on top. It's because if you look from this side, you can really see there's a layer.
Yeah,
we'll,
we got
we'll
like
show
a
you
set,
after.
a set bit here.
We'll put things right near the front so you can see them. All right, it's gonna work. It's gonna be good in the end.
We'll get there.
Science.
Takes time.
And you just gotta like keep trying. You know, if it doesn't work, you adjust. You adjust your methodology, right? And you try again. I think that's probably as much as we can do.
Back in the freezer.
Okay, so it's set for about 45 minutes.
Okay.
It's still got a lot of jiggle to it.
All right, but we can definitely see it's starting to set in like some of these darker spots here. Like that
Yeah.
looks a little bit more solid.
And we can see stuff floating.
Yes.
So, I mean, that one side, this side you can't see as much in, but if I just spin it, you can start seeing some of those things floating. So, like, if you walked, everything's covered in dog hair in my life. If you walked in, you'd be able to see like a brain floating.
Yeah.
You know, in this room.
Definitely wouldn't creep you out at all.
Yeah, definitely not a concern. We successfully suspended things in a big cube of Jell-O,
I think so. Yeah.
which was the goal.
That was.
And now I think it's time to try it.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, it didn't really taste like anything when I licked my fingers the first time, so I'm not suspecting it's going to taste like much now, but
I mean, you could try to get a thing.
it's true.
I'm gonna take this crown. Oh, the crown, all the it's so yellow.
Very moldy. Oh, it is really kind of fun.
Are you trying to take the
I'm gonna try
person?
to decapitate this person a bit. Okay.
Right here.
Okay.
All right.
Should we give it a go?
To science.
Science. That just ruined the cookie taste.
Yeah, the candy made that really weird.
It just tastes like a watered down cookie.
Well, thanks for coming back.
Yeah,
for,
appreciate it.
Doing this with me.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we learned a lot today. Whew, I'm stuffed. That Lembas bread was really filling. Okay, maybe you're right. Maybe it's because I ate 7 pieces, but you ate a bunch of Scooby Snacks. They were so good too, though. All those Rice Krispies adding such a nice crunch. And that Jell-O cube was a big cube of Jell-O, but it was fun learning about Jell-O and acids and stuff. You know, I think we're really onto something. Arbor, do you think we should make our own cookbook? Yeah, okay, I'll go brainstorm. Come here, what's this?
What was that sound?
He acted like he was gonna get up, and then he just rolled to the other side. So.